Happy Pride!
Pride can never be canceled.
We are thriving despite all obstacles, and no one's going to shut down this parade.
Happy Pride, grandson. I love you.
Happy Pride, we miss you.
Happy Pride.
Pride is not just a festival. It's not just a protest. Pride is all day, every day in here.
We are the Pride.
Happy Pride, everybody. Woo!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Savor Pride, presented by New York City Pride. Along with God's Love We Deliver. My name is Kaylin Allen, mostly known from the Ellen DeGeneres Show and Kaylin Reacts. And today we have a very exciting episode for you. You may know her from Food Network's Chopped. Please welcome the chef next door, Amanda Freitag.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to my kitchen. Thank you, Kaylin, for that introduction. And this is Savor Pride. Normally, we're partying together at God's Love in their building, in their beautiful event space, but now we're here virtually, and maybe we can reach even more people. So I want to be the first to say Happy Pride. I know it's been said many times already this month, but it's such a great month to celebrate. NYC Pride, thank you so much. God's Love, thank you so much. T-Mobile and SKYY Vodka for having me here. So we're gonna eat, we're gonna cook, we're gonna drink, we're gonna do everything we would normally do if we were together. So of course, we're gonna start out with a cocktail. This is a Spring Garden Martini. And we're gonna check out the recipe. It is extremely simple. We have our SKYY Vodka, and this is infused with citrus, lemon juice, and an Earl Grey tea syrup. Does that sound complicated? Absolutely not. The Earl Grey tea syrup was just Earl Grey tea. It was steeped, it's pretty strong. And then there's 50% sugar, 50% tea. And that's gonna give us a really beautiful round citrus flavor because Earl Grey tea has bergamot in it. Does anybody know what bergamot is? That's actually a citrus. That wonderful floral flavor in Earl Grey tea is a citrus called bergamot. So we're gonna start to mix and shake. And I also have some beautiful lemon thyme here for garnish, and maybe I'll throw some in my shaker. My neighbors grow this on the roof. If any of you are living in New York City like I am, the only access to the outdoors lately has been the rooftops. So luckily I have some neighbors who really love to garden. So I'm actually gonna start by throwing that in the shaker. Why not? And then I'm gonna start, of course, with the vodka. Isn't that where we always start? I'm only making one drink, sadly, but hopefully you're gonna toast along with me so I won't feel like I'm drinking alone. And so it's 2 ounces of vodka. I might splash a little more in there, but for now, 2 ounces of vodka. And of course, drink responsibly. I'm gonna put about, what did we say? An ounce of the tea syrup, maybe even a little bit less, half an ounce. I like mine a little bit sweeter, especially when I'm adding a bunch of lemon juice. So I like that sweet tart. I have some fresh lemon juice here, about 3/4 of an ounce. And that's it. That's all it takes. And then we're gonna shake it up.
Hey, Amanda.
Yeah. Hi.
So I have a question because I see that you're using ounces, right? Now, for say I'm at home and I'm making this drink and say I don't have, a fancy bartender shaker. How do I know how much to put of each item by using just household items?
You could actually use a measuring cup. Any old measuring cup. I have a glass one too. That's like an old school Pyrex one. It has the ounces on it. So So you can use a measuring cup. And that is, you know, a little bit old school, but usually everybody has a measuring cup kicking around. If you don't and you have a shot glass kicking around, that's always about 1 ounce, depending on how big your shot glass is. That's such a good question, by the way. Not everybody has a fancy setup. And I have a shaker here that SKYY Vodka gave me, which is great, although we'll see if it gets stuck together. So I'm going to shake. Really, really shake. My bartender friends out there are probably cringing because I'm not shaking as well as they do, but I'm probably not going to be able to get this off either. I know, I have to hit it. Oh my goodness. I knew this was going to happen. Okay, so we got a really good shake, and then we have to do something called a double strain. Okay, because we don't want to have any impurities. We don't want to have any chunks of herbs or any kind of, you know, ice in there. So we're just going to pour it out. That's using that strainer. I don't mind if a little lemon thyme comes out. I like that. I'm going to get all that delicious cocktail. Can definitely garnish it with a little more. Cheers. It's cocktail time, everybody. Here's to you. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Pride. Oh, wow.
That looks amazing, Amanda.
Oh my God, this is like a sweet tea with extra lemon juice and that little hint of vodka is so nice.
Ooh, sounds refreshing.
All right, you still want me to cook? Okay. All right, let's talk about what we're going to cook. So let's keep going. Okay, so I'm going to make a lamb burger. Now, this recipe is in my cookbook, The Chef Next Door. And it's a bunless burger because I feel like now we're all coming out of quarantine and we're working on our summer bodies. So this is a bunless burger, but not flavorless, and it's delicious. And it's a great way to switch it up. I use beef for burgers almost always, but ground lamb is so flavorful. And I put quinoa in it. So it's a protein bomb. If you haven't ever cooked quinoa, it's so easy to cook. I don't know if you guys want to put up the recipe so everybody can see it. The recipe for this is really straightforward. We're going to have our ground lamb, and then we have cooked quinoa. I've already cooked quinoa, but I'm going to still show you how to cook it. We have Spanish onion, which I'm going to cut, egg for a little binder. So it's so much more than just the burger meat. Little cayenne and salt, and then we're going to make a mint yogurt to dollop on top. So I really want to show you how I cook quinoa, because sometimes the simplest grains are the hardest thing for people to wrap their head around, and I think people overthink it. And quinoa is such a great grain to have instead of rice. It's really high in protein. You can have it as a cold salad, or you can mix it into your meatloaf or your lamb burgers, which is exactly what I'm about to do. The one thing that you have to do with quinoa, though, which is not that complicated, you have to rinse it. It has like, I don't know, a little bit of dust, let's say. Let's just pretend it's dust. A little bit of dirt, a little bit of dust. Obviously, this is a grain that comes from nature, so it's a little bit dirty. So you just rinse it in a mesh strainer or in a colander, whatever you have. And then you put it into a pot. This is 1 cup of raw quinoa. Now, this is also a really good tip to remember. 1 cup equals 3 cups of cooked, okay? So it's 3 times the amount. So if you're cooking for 3 people, all you need is 1 cup. You don't need 3 cups of raw. Okay, so 1 cup of quinoa gets 2 cups of water. And then I'm going to put a pinch of salt in there. Just a pinch. I always season as I go. I always talk about seasoning as you go. You have to season. If you're not going to season this now, it's not going to taste good later. It's not going to taste salty.
Hey, Amanda.
It's just going to be perfectly seasoned. Yes, ask me anything.
I had to first come here and thank you for educating people on seasoning their food, because as many people know, that is a pet peeve of mine when people don't season their food. So I had to come here and just give you your props for a little bit.
I was thinking about you because I know how hard you are on people who don't season, but I feel the same way.
Yes, so thank you.
I may
Continue
not
on.
say it the same way that you do. So we agree. We agree about that. And you are a chef at heart, because if you season as you go, you're layering flavors, and then by the time it's done, it just tastes perfectly seasoned. It doesn't taste like salt. Okay, that's the whole idea. So what we do with the quinoa, bring that to a boil, and I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. We're going to bring it to a boil, cover it, and then cook it. You cook it for about 15 minutes. Now, don't be scared when you see a little bit of water left over at the end. If there's a little water left over, just strain it out. Grab that mesh strainer that you had before and get rid of that liquid. Just fluff it with a fork. It fluffs a lot like rice. Season it a little more if it needs it, right, Kaylin? We got to taste and season. Taste and season. That's the best part about cooking. Now I'm going to put this behind me and continue. I always talk about when I cook for friends and have them over, I taste and taste and taste and taste while I'm cooking, because I wouldn't serve you anything that I wouldn't taste myself or love it. So by the time I sit down, I'm full. I'm done. I'm just going to have a drink, and that's it. So this, again, this recipe is fantastic for summer. Something different. So lamb is not on the top of everybody's list, but ground lamb is so much more flavorful than beef. It has a lot of fat. It has a lot of flavor. And I think it's a really great way to change up that regular old burger. Yes, a delicious beef burger is so satisfying, but why not try lamb? Why not impress your guests? So we're going to start by cutting up an onion. Now, I saved this for you because I don't know if you've ever seen on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, I do these videos called Easy AF. And my goal is to get you guys in the kitchen. Get in the kitchen, get cooking. Don't be afraid. Starting with an onion. I've done so many cooking classes. I'll cut up an onion really fast, and then the participants will say, hey, wait, would you mind going back and showing me how to cut that onion? I think people are afraid to say they don't know how. And this is the simple stuff that I want to teach you, because once you know the basics, you can build on that and learn anything after that. So I'm going to show you how to cut. I thought, oh, I'll cut the onion before, but then I changed my mind. So I've already peeled it. I've taken the core out. You can do that part. And then I just cut across. Okay, make sure your fingers are in a claw-like hold. And then we're going to cut down. And I'm going pretty close together on these cuts because I want a small dice. If you wanted it bigger, you would go further apart. And now the magic of an onion is that now, as we're cutting across to dice it, it's going to come out into these perfect little squares. That's how you do it. It's so simple. And so many recipes start, and that little flat part at the end, you can just cut it up. Just cut it up. So many recipes start with
Amanda,
a diced onion. Yeah, ask me, because this is fun. I want to know what you think about this.
So first, I love that you just taught me that, because I have a difficulty myself cutting onions.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so glad you said that.
Yes. Second, we have a question from Peachy. Now, Peachy wants to know, she says, I'm keto. Can I make this without the quinoa? Is there a substitute?
That's a great question, because, I always thought of this as a really high protein recipe. You can just take the quinoa out, honestly. I'm not as familiar with the keto diet as I am maybe the paleo or just a high protein, but it will still be okay without the quinoa. But if there's a grain that you can have in keto that you could add, you could substitute that. But you can leave it out. We can put all the other seasonings. We can put the onion. You don't have to have the quinoa in there. I just find it to give an interesting texture and a little bit of a flavor that is unique. And I like to surprise people with my food. So you can definitely leave it out if you're keto, and it will just be missing a little bit of texture, but it won't miss flavor. All right, so we have our onion, and I have the ground lamb right here, and it looks exactly like beef. It really does. It's a little lighter in color, and you can kind of see that it's a little more marbleized with fat, and fat is flavor. That's why we love it so much. Butter has so much flavor. Bacon has so much flavor. Even olive oil. I cook with so much olive oil. It has a lot of flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and put those onions in there. That's enough. That was kind of a big onion. And again, if you don't like onion, you want to add a bunch of garlic, go ahead. This also has garlic, which I'm going to show you right now. You want to add shallots instead. You want to add scallions. This is the thing I try to tell people. Recipe's a guideline. Just do what you love. If you want to make it first, the exact way as a recipe, and then switch it up later and, cater it to your taste. No recipe is original. If a chef tells you it is, they're lying. Every chef has taken a recipe from another chef and got inspired by it and made it their own. So this lamb burger is kind of inspired by a kofta or a kibbeh in Middle Eastern cooking. And I've sort of, put it into my American repertoire. I do so much of that with food because I've traveled and I get inspired by all my trips to Italy, to the Middle East, to Spain, to Europe. Obviously, I'm not traveling as much, but, I was also really inspired by trips across the country. American regional food has gotten so interesting, so many influences. So I put in 2 cloves of garlic. You can put 1, you can put none, whatever you like. Now, Taylor, let's talk about seasoning. We're going to season, okay? And I'm going to turn on my saute pan because, again, it's about tasting. If I make meatloaf, if I make meatballs, I always take a little bit of the mix, sear it off, and taste it. Because by the time I roll all the meatballs or make the meatloaf and cook it, if I needed to adjust the seasoning, I won't have a chance. So now's my chance to find out if this is where I want it. So I'm heating my pan up that I'm going to cook my burgers in, and I'm just going to make a little taste test. I highly recommend doing that. If you've never done that before, this is your little key. This is your little trick. Now I'm going really 2 big pinches of salt, and don't be afraid. And I have a little bit of cayenne here because I like a little bit of spice, especially with lamb. It cuts through the fat. Spice always cuts through the fat. So I'm going to go 2 pinches. I know spice is polarizing for some people. You can just use black pepper, but I find that different spices have different flavors. So I'm going to use black pepper and a little cayenne or chili is what I have. And because this is lamb and really
Amanda.
flavorful. Yes.
So Stephen asks, do you have any recipes with Jersey Taylor ham?
Oh my God, Stephen Camello. I love Stephen. Stephen is from God's Love. I have so many recipes with Taylor ham, and you have to call it Taylor ham. And any of you South Jersey, Philly folks, if you call it pork roll, you're not saying it right. I love Taylor ham. This Jersey girl, if she could, would have it for breakfast every day. If you don't know what Taylor ham is, or you can actually call it pork roll, go out and get it and try it. It's a delicious, fatty, salty, sweet breakfast meat. And please don't forget to go to God's Love website and donate. This is all about raising funds for people who are homebound and ill. God's Love is an organization that is near and dear to my heart. I spend as much time as possible helping them out. I compete for them. I just love being around them. Everybody over there. Hello, everybody over there. I miss you guys so much. You do the good work, and food is love and food is medicine, and you guys heal people who are homebound and sick. If you don't know about God's Love and you're watching right now, they are one of the most amazing organizations in New York City, and they feed people who can't feed themselves without question, without red tape, and it really touches my heart. And a friend of mine introduced me to God's Love when I first met him and said that he used their service, and he's a healthy a really amazingly energetic person. And in 2008, he introduced me to the organization. And every time I hear stories about how people have survived and thrived because of the food that God's love gives them, that's what it's all about. To me, food is love, and that's why we're here. So please, $1, $10, $100, it all makes a difference. And it really is one of my favorite places to be and to work with. Okay, I've got a hot, smoking hot pan. Don't be afraid to get that pan hot. I've got lamb. Now, I don't know if you saw what I did. I put a little bit of cumin. Like I was going to say, cumin and lamb go great together. Such a great flavor combination. Cumin is strong, but I think it really complements the lamb. And I put the quinoa in. This is going to make about 4 burgers. I'm just going to make 2 today. The egg is going to go in. Now, I always crack my egg into a separate bowl before it goes into any mix. Why would I do that? This is a tip I want you guys to remember. You have to look at the egg. Make sure, I'm going to show you over here. Make sure that it's clean. There's no blood in the yolk. There's no shell. Because if you crack right into your mix, whatever impurity is in the egg is going to go into the mix, and there's no way to get it out. So always go into a bowl first and then go into anything that you're mixing. Okay.
Hey, Amanda.
So I've got salt. Yeah.
So we have a question from Emmett. Oh, go ahead. Get your drink, girl. Get your drink. So Emmett wants to know, how much salt is too much salt? And do you have any substitutes?
Oh my goodness. Emmett, thank you for that question. And I wish you were here right now taking some BTS photos. How much salt is too much salt? Well, listen, if it tastes salty, it's too much. Salt is a flavor enhancer. I think this is what people forget when they're cooking. It brings out the flavor of things. It elevates the flavor of things. We don't want to taste salt. The only time we actually really want to taste salt is if you have some beautiful fancy sea salt. You're putting it on top of sliced steak, and it's a finishing salt. Typically, when you're mixing it into your dishes, we don't want to taste salt. We want to taste the flavor being enhanced. So this is another reason, Emmett, why I say season as you go, okay? And you can back off and then season more later. That's why we continue to taste throughout the recipe. I use kosher salt, okay? I like the way it feels. I like the way it tastes. I'm so used to it. And I always put it out into a container so I can touch it and feel it with my hands. Don't ever pour from a salt container, because mistakes can happen that way. If you like fine sea salt, great. If you like other kinds of salt, fine. But just get used to that one salt so you're checking in on that flavor all the time. And what we're going to do here is make a little sample. And if this is too salty right now, you're going to know, I don't want to form this into lamb burgers. I got to get more lamb, or I got to get more quinoa, and I'll fix it. So that's the reason why we taste as we go. Now, I am going to get my hands in here. My hands are clean. They're washed. And I'm going to be eating these burgers myself. And I'm just going to start to mix it. Now, when you're making this, you might feel like, oh, it feels a little bit wet. Should I add breadcrumbs? Should I add something else? I might add a little more quinoa because I didn't add it all. But I want it to be a really tender patty. Now, again, I'm serving it without a bun because I know we're all trying to watch our weight and our gluten and our carbs. But you can put this on a bun. It's really good on a bun. But I want it to be tender. I want it to just melt in your mouth. And that's what we're looking for. So if it feels a little bit wet right now, that's okay. As long as you can form a patty, you are good. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm not going to taste the raw meat, right? This is the message I want to get across to you. Don't taste raw meat. It has egg that's raw. It's meat that's raw. We're just going to sample it just a little, like a baby burger, into our pan. And I just flatten it out. Now, I know a lot of you who might have Italian grandmothers probably do this with their meatball mix quite often. Again, because they're going to look and see, does it need more garlic? Does it need more cheese? Does it need more seasoning? This is the only way to know, the only way to find out. So everything is in there now, and we're going to wait to taste that, and we're going to form the patties. But the other ingredient, the other element of this dish is a mint yogurt. So this is where the sort of Middle Eastern influence comes in, because yogurt is used so much in that culture. And I love, love, love yogurt with spicy meats, or yogurt as a side on a meze. A meze is just many different things on the table, and that's shareable. And that's just such a fun way to eat. And I had the great fortune of going to Jordan and Israel last year, and these foods are so delicious, and there's never a meal without yogurt. Yeah, sure, it's on breakfast, but lunch, dinner, there's always some beautiful yogurt. It's either seasoned or just a labneh, which is a strained yogurt. So I have a Greek yogurt here, and obviously we all know and love tzatziki, which has cucumbers and garlic in it, and we all love that sauce. So this is a version of it, and you can put garlic in here, but I'm just putting fresh mint because there's garlic in my lamb burger. So I'm just gonna mix the yogurt. I'm gonna make sure my little patty's cooking. Now, this is plain yogurt. It's Greek yogurt. Now, the recipe that I saw in the beginning had 0% fat. Well, this is 2%. I'm losing the bun on the burger, but I'm gaining some fat on my yogurt. It all depends on what you want.
Hey, Amanda.
Honestly, you want yogurt? Yes, ask me.
So I have a question. When you make your burgers, do you ever, so when I make a burger, I usually I like barbecue sauce right now. I don't like ketchup, but I put my condiments and actually cook them into the meat while I fry the meat. Do you do that every now and then? And also, do you cook your cheese on top of the patty in the skillet?
Ooh, those are all really great questions. Okay, so do you put your barbecue sauce into your burger patty? Is that what you do? You mix it into the meat?
Yes. Yes, I mix it into the meat and then make the patties, because I found that it helps the patty stay into a patty form, and then it doesn't end up falling apart or any of that.
Right. So this is really similar to what I'm doing here, and I love that you do that, because for me, when I make a meatloaf, I add in ketchup and mustard, which are typical burger meat condiments, and I add all sorts of seasoning. But when I do a beef burger, I typically just do salt and pepper in the ground beef, but I actually do this. I get it all together. I don't just make patties and season the outsides. I always put the seasoning on the inside. And I have to answer your previous question, or Emmett's previous question. If you don't eat salt, or you don't want to eat salt, you can go to my mom's house, because she has it on her counter. She uses something called Mrs. Dash. And honestly, it's pretty good. It's a dried spice mix, and it works. So you can use other spices instead of salt if you can't have salt for any reason. And I know at God's Love, a lot of the meals are catered to the clients' needs and their dietary restrictions. So a lot of people can't have salt. So use herbs and spices to really jazz up your meal. Dried oregano, thyme.
Hey, Amanda, we have another question.
Yeah. Ooh, yes.
So this question is for the vegetarians. Which veggies go with this yogurt?
Ooh, to dip?
Yeah, sure.
Because
I know you're already putting vegetables in the yogurt. So what kind of things can they, if they don't want to have the meat, what can they add to this yogurt and eat as just complimentary?
Right. Of course, you can turn this into that traditional tzatziki sauce and add cucumber. But I also think you could make this as a dip and dip your vegetables in it. I have some cucumbers here and tomatoes that I'm going to use as a garnish for the burger. But if you just have these great slices of cucumber and dip that into the mint yogurt and eat it, that's an amazing snack or a side dish. And of course, also you can make veggie burger, or there's Beyond Meat or Impossible Burger, which you can do the same thing with, and it's completely vegan. So I think that's really cool, or vegetarian. And this mint yogurt honestly can go on just about anything. If you have a sandwich that you're making with lamb meat or beef or chicken that's been spiced, and you put a dollop of the yogurt, I mean, I put seasoned yogurt on top of fish. I just think it's great for anything that has a lot of seasoning. And then this is the cooling effect, right? In Indian cooking, you know, with a lot of spicy dishes, there's always yogurt or a chutney or raita or a lassi that cools the palate down for anything really, really, really spicy. So what I'm doing here is I'm just cutting up that mint. Again, thank you to my neighbors who grew that mint. That's going directly into my yogurt. I'm going to get rid of my cutting board, and I'm going to mix that up. So we have salt and pepper in here also. And I know for people who don't usually cook with savory yogurt, that's salt and pepper and yogurt, right? You're used to having a fruity yogurt. Make sure you get a yogurt that doesn't have any kind of fruity seasoning. This is delicious savory sauce. Even if you don't have a sauce for whatever you're making, if you make chicken that's really spicy, put a dollop of yogurt on top of it. A little salt, pepper, garlic. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm gonna taste this. Now, like we were talking about, like so many people get the the Kalen buzz for not seasoning. I season and I taste as I go. That's so good. That mint is so fresh, but yogurt takes a lot of salt, a lot. And I feel like it needs a little bit more seasoning. It's just a little bit bland. It's so sour, it's so rich, it's so creamy. So you got to add a little bit more and then taste again. I have my tasting spoons handy. This is, again, something you should always have in the kitchen. Just have a bunch of spoons. In commercial kitchens and restaurants, we have a container of little plastic spoons that we call tasting spoons. They're on every cook's station, and they have to use them to taste. One taste, no double dipping, and out. Oh yeah, that's it. And when you make this mint yogurt, this can sit overnight, and it just gets better and better and better as it sits. So we're done with all of our herbs. Yeah.
I have a question for me. So I've been recently actually thinking about going to culinary school. So my question was, did you go to culinary school? Was food something that you always loved to do? Like, how did you get started?
Are you really going to do it?
I really want to. I've really been thinking about it.
That would be fantastic. Okay, so I had the great fortune of having a really amazing mentor in my home economics teacher. It sounds crazy. I was working at a restaurant when I was in high school. I was 15 years old, and I really didn't want to do the traditional college route. And back in the horse and buggy day when I went to culinary school, it was very, very different. There were not a lot of high-end chefs in this country. So it was really all of Europe that I was looking to for my inspiration. And my home economics teacher, myself and my parents went up to Hyde Park, New York to take a tour of the Culinary Institute of America. And I just fell in love with it. And at the time, you could not be accepted unless you worked in a restaurant for a year. So I worked at a country club for about a year, and then I went to culinary school. And it was a fantastic, scary, very difficult experience, but came out with the basics. Don't think you're going to come out as a master chef when you're done with culinary school. And then I learned more and more and more as I worked my way up that proverbial ladder. So I'm going to taste my little lamb sampler. Oh yeah. Okay. That's exactly how I want it. Again, maybe a little more salt. This is where, to Emmett's point, you're going to decide, is that enough salt for me? Does it taste too salty? Okay. To me, it tastes just seasoned. So I'll leave it as it is, and then I'll probably season the patties while they're in the pan. Okay, and all of this, the other question I get all the time is, if I'm entertaining, how do I manage it? How do I manage doing all the cooking, having guests over? How do I do it all? Do it ahead of time. Make this mint yogurt and have it done. You know, have your garnishes set up. You know, I do have some burger buns here in case we wanted to have it on a bun. You could. You know, make everything ahead of time and then just have it ready to cook. So you can do all of this a day before, 2 days before. And the meat with all the seasoning for the lamb burger, that'll just get better and better. You know, don't worry about that if you make that a couple of days in advance, 2 days in advance. It just gets better. Okay, so I'm gonna get a couple of patties in my pan. This is a canola and olive oil blend that I'm cooking with. I really probably don't even need that much fat because the lamb has so much fat. I just don't want them to stick. I'm gonna get rid of a little bit of that. I have a little fat container in my sink. I don't know if you guys, anybody out there has a grandma or mom that keeps that coffee tin. This is pretty old school, and they save the bacon fat. There's something to that, you guys. There's a reason why she was saving that fat. Okay, so we're just gonna form burger patties and go directly in. Now we're giving them a sear. This is something that I want you to really focus in on. Focus. Hot pan, searing the burger patties. Now, hopefully most of you can even do this outside. I can't grill in my apartment, sadly. So everything has to be done in a pan. But if you have a grill, when you first put it on the grill, you're looking for the hot spot, okay? That's what you want. First goes on the hot spot, and then you don't move it. This is why your things stick to the grill, because you put your burgers down, you put your fish down, you put your steak down, and then you start to move it. And then all of a sudden it sticks and it doesn't have a sear on it. And this is something I've taught line cooks throughout my years of cooking in restaurants, is how to be patient. Don't shake the pan. Don't move the protein as soon as it hits the pan. It's all about the heat management. So I know that sounds a little bit fancy and a little bit scientific, but hot pan is going to give you a beautiful sear on the outside, and then the inside will be tender, but you're also getting that flavor of the meat. If you don't sear it, then it's a little bit gray, and it doesn't have that same caramelization. So there's a reason for it.
Hey, Amanda.
It's not just because the chef told you to. Yeah.
What is a good dessert to have with this burger?
Woo! Well, personally, a good dessert to have with any meal, in my mind, is a chocolate dessert. Chocolate, warm, lava cake. But it's summer, and this dish kind of reminds me of summer. And right now, it is strawberry season. So just cut up some strawberries, serve them with a little whipped cream or just fruit, and a dollop of fresh whipped cream. I think you have to enjoy what's seasonal and really just embrace that. But if you ask me any day of the week, I'll usually choose chocolate. My favorite chocolate is a warm chocolate cake. Okay. So, are you listening? Can you hear that sizzle? That sear? That's what we want. You might even be able to see some smoke coming out of my pan. That's what we're looking for. And I'm not going to move it. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to shake the pan. I'm not going to turn it around with the tongs. I'm going to use spatula for this. And I want to get that beautiful sear on both sides. And if you like your burger or your lamb cooked a little bit more, which I find that some people do, I still like mine medium rare. You can finish this in the oven. And what does that mean? That's chefy talk, right? You can take this whole entire pan and put it inside of the oven. You don't even have to switch pans, and it will finish cooking there. And that will give you a medium to medium well burger. And I will be forgiving. typically I would say don't cook it that long, but people have their desires with lamb and they have the idea with lamb that it has to be cooked a little bit longer, and that's fine. Cook it how you like it. You're eating it. My thing is just get in the kitchen and do it. Don't be afraid. Just get in there and do it. We've all been stuck inside, and I've seen you. I've seen your Instagrams, your Facebooks, your Twitters. You've been cooking, and I'm so proud of you. I know you were forced to cook, but you've been doing such a good job. Everybody's been sharing what they've been doing, and I think it's a good thing in the end that everybody had to force themselves to get in the kitchen and realize it's not that hard. And now we can get more ingredients than we could before, and now we can get creative. So as we're sharing, if anybody has any other questions, yay, you have a question. While you're there, I'm going to see if I got
more so
here.
more of a statement. So I love the advice that you're giving about cooking the patties, because I always struggle with that, especially if my patties are too big. I'm always like, ooh, how do I know if they're done in the middle and stuff like that? But some people ask me actually, what do I like for dessert? Because you talked about chocolate. Now, I'm not a big chocolate person. However, I make a mean peach cobbler. I know, isn't it crazy? Yeah, I'm not a big chocolate person, but I love peach cobbler.
I love peach cobbler too. You know, you can actually make that on the grill.
Really? Now, I've never made it in the grill, but you know what my secret ingredient is to my peach cobbler is I actually put vanilla Crown Royal.
What? You put it with the peaches?
I
or
highly
with the cobbler
recommend
batter?
with the peaches. Listen, any alcohol, like you could just it really gives it a real nice spike.
Wow. You heard it here, folks. That's the secret to a peach cobbler. Well, you know, I mean, I'm craving being outdoors right now like you guys are. And so if you can do some outdoor cooking, you can pretty much do everything on the grill. Because think about it. When you close the lid, what does that grill become? An oven. It's basically an oven. So you could cook off all your lamb burgers, keep that grill hot, get your peach cobbler ready in a cast iron pan and put it on the grill. Nothing ever has to be done in your kitchen in the summer if you have a grill outside, which is the beauty of cooking outdoors. Okay, so we've already jumped to dessert, but we still haven't finished our lamb burger. And if anybody has any other questions, please feel free to ask. Another way to know if your burger is done, obviously chefs, we just touch it to see if it's done, but there's obviously meat thermometer. I have a great one here. Digital, I love the digital thermometer. It's fun. I don't have too many gadgets like this, but this is a really great one. And then you just put it, make sure you always put it in the center of the meat, and then you get the exact accurate reading. So I don't know if you saw, but I haven't done anything. I haven't shook the pan. I haven't touched it. I haven't peeked. I haven't looked. You have to be patient. Patience in the kitchen is key. Patient. But now it's time because I hear some sizzle. Yeah.
So I figured I would come here while we're waiting on the patties to finish. Oh, wow. Those look amazing.
Yeah, talk to me. Look how beautiful they look.
Yeah, yeah, they look absolutely delectable. But Sean is asking about side dishes with the lamb.
Woo! Great question, and something I was definitely going to hit upon. Okay, so I'm going to serve this, obviously, today with the mint yogurt that we made as a dollop on top. Okay. But I've also I cut up some tomatoes, some cucumber, and then I made this fresh tomato sauce. And this is something you'll find in my cookbook. And I've actually done this in a demonstration at God's Love in their kitchen. All this is tomatoes, olive oil, and garlic in the blender. And the magic of the pectin, now I'm getting fancy, in tomatoes actually emulsifies it, meaning it doesn't separate. It stays together. So I've made this sauce. But I would, if I were you, make a delicious potato salad with this lamb burger. Potatoes and lamb, great combination. Very simple potato salad, maybe a little mayonnaise, a little bit of onion, maybe a dollop of mustard would go so well with this. You could make an orzo
Now let's talk about
salad
your
if you wanted-
cookbook.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So when you were coming up with your recipes, tell us, like, where did the recipes come from? Were they part of your growing up? Were they just recipes that you had come across? Like, what was your inspiration for your cookbook?
The general inspiration was I was in between restaurant jobs and I was cooking a lot at home. And my whole career, as I told you, kind of started out in restaurants. So I wasn't hanging off of my grandmother's or my mother's apron strings. My mother worked, my father worked. We were latchkey kids. So I worked in restaurants, commercial kitchens my whole life. And then I was in between jobs and I was cooking at home and I thought, wow, this is really hard. You have to shop for all the food. You have to schlep it home. You have to prep it. You have to cook it. You serve it to your discerning family who usually has something to say. And then you have to clean up. In a restaurant, you call your fish guy, your meat guy. Everything shows up in the morning. All the prep cooks start working on it. And everybody helps with the preparation and the cleanup. So what I really wanted to do, it's like a love letter to the home cook and give these recipes to cooks at home, because the proverbial question is, what's for dinner? And I have a chapter in there that's called What's for Dinner. You open that refrigerator door, you stare inside of it, which is very much like Chopped. You know, everybody's looking into this basket. There's half a chicken, some pickles, and some chocolate sauce. Oh my God, what am I going to make? And I think Chopped is based on looking in the refrigerator every night. So the cookbook is a compilation of recipes that I've made throughout the years, some family recipes, and just some things that I really wanted to share with home cooks because they can do it. I used to have a much smaller kitchen than this, and I could do all those recipes in my tiny little galley kitchen. So anybody can do it if I can do it there.
So now, since you've been at home, have you been cooking as much, or have you been like, oh, I'm tired of cooking? Like, can we just order out or something?
I probably cooked 7 days a week for 2 months straight before I got any takeout. It was a pretty amazing experience because typically, and you know, you're always so busy. I'll either be filming or I'm on the road doing food festivals or events or traveling. And so when I'm here, I'll be in my kitchen for a day or two, and I'm usually cooking kale and egg whites because I've been eating so much on the road. And so this is the longest and the most I've ever cooked in this kitchen. So I actually learned a lot. I've rearranged the whole thing. I've definitely changed some things in my kitchen to make it a better working environment, for sure. So yes, right. I've been doing it. I've been really doing it.
All right,
and
so
I've been trying to help people.
So tell us, what's in your refrigerator? Do you have any leftovers?
Wait a minute. Oh my God, it's such a mess right now. You do not want to know what's going on in there. So I'm in the middle of doing some recipe testing for a job, and there is little tiny things of mise en place all over. There's a half a cucumber, lots of hot sauce, some strawberries, some chicken broth. You don't even want to know what's in there.
I love that. Love that.
I know. I could make probably an entire 5-course meal out of just what's in that fridge right now. It's kind of intense.
That's impressive.
So, yeah, well, yes. And it's not always like that. Sometimes it's just milk for coffee and a bottle of champagne. So it all depends on what day it is. I feel from the touch that this one is done. This one's a little bit smaller. So to place it on top of that beautiful tomato sauce that I made, which the recipe is in my book. And then I'm going to dollop it with the yogurt. So again, we did this together. The only thing I had done ahead of time was the quinoa, right? So I didn't do anything crazy magical. I didn't cut to magic of TV. You saw it all. So it's not that difficult. I really want you to get in the kitchen and cook. And don't be afraid. And that's what my tutorial series Easy AF is about. I'm trying to get you guys in the kitchen. Don't be afraid to cook. Get in there, get hands-on. What's the worst thing that can happen? What would you do if you completely messed up this dish? You'd probably still eat it.
I mean, exactly. It'd probably figure out a way to turn it around and make it work.
And that's what chefs do. Like, we're so flexible and adaptable. We always take things, even if it's a mistake, and make it better. Some of the most famous recipes were kitchen mistakes. There were mistakes that were made. So if you make a mistake, maybe you're making something even better than you started out with. And that's why I say get in there and just try it, and don't be afraid. Just cook it. Just do it. And if anybody has any more questions, please feel free. We've got a couple more minutes while I garnish my lamb burger with that. I'll probably put extra sauce with that delicious yogurt. And again, this is it if you want it to be, or you can pile this whole thing onto a bun. And there is nothing wrong with that. And you can slather this bun with some of that mint yogurt, put that tomato and that cucumber on top, and you have yourself a really delicious Mediterranean lamb burger, which I'm about to take a bite of.
Hey, Amanda.
Yes.
Yes, I'm excited to see you try this. I want to know all the different flavors that you're getting, especially like tell these people that you can taste all their seasoning, that it's important.
How did I do? I was worried. I was worried that you were going to, say, wait a minute, she's not doing this right.
No, I thought you did great. I'm glad you didn't use just regular pepper. I know you used cayenne, so I really appreciated that.
I love cayenne, but I actually use cayenne and black pepper. I like both because they have different flavor profiles. And that's even more fun. I think when you get to play with spices and get to know them, I've trained my palate over the years by working in restaurants, working for other chefs who've taught me. I've worked for a French chef, but we cooked Thai French. What a crazy combination. I've cooked a lot of Italian food. I've cooked a lot of Mediterranean food, a lot of American food. So you train the palate. I don't know if anybody has watched Chopped out there, but you'll hear us talk about acid and salt and fat and layering of flavor. We talk about acidity, it's lemon or it's tomato or it's vinegar. And so what I'm always looking for is something that has salt, sweet, whether it be sweet from vegetable or sweet from sugar, fat, acid, balance is always what you're looking for. So when you're tasting through a dish, look for that balance. You'll know when something's missing. You'll feel like, oh, this is a little flat, or this needs something. Maybe it needs fresh herbs, squeeze of lemon or lime or something. And then you'll get to really hone your cuisine. Yeah. I'm going to eat.
So when you're ordering takeout, okay, no worries, do you? When you're ordering takeout and you're in New York and I'm in LA, what cuisine or restaurants are you like your go-to? For me, it's like I always go for like soul food, or I go for Italian. Those are like probably my most used cuisines.
Yeah. So obviously, when in the before times, when life was simpler, New York City is such a diverse mix, just like LA, of ethnic restaurants. So I go really ethnic when I order out, because I don't typically have, let's say, a lot of Chinese or Korean or Thai ingredients in the house. So I'll go for something that I wouldn't normally cook myself. And I have an incredible Szechuan Chinese restaurant in my neighborhood called Cafe China. If anybody is a New Yorker that's watching, if you've never been there, go there. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. It's Michelin star, but it's super casual. And Szechuan cuisine is so much more than just spicy. It's spicy with warm spice, mapo tofu, dan noodles, scallion pancakes. I can't get enough of their duck fried rice. So I will always order something out that I can't make as well myself. So Szechuan Chinese is my go-to. And of course, the ever popular New York City slice. I'll get pizza because I've only made pizza once during quarantine and it didn't come out that good. Anyway, so the lamb burger is delicious. Yes. Talk to me because I'm going to eat while you
If anybody wants If anybody wants to follow you on any social media, aside from here, where can they find you?
Of course, you should follow me on social because I'll teach you how to cook. Instagram, Chef Amanda F. Watch my IGTV. That's where I have my easy AF videos. Or on Twitter, you can find me at Amanda Freitag. And look for T-Mobile and SKYY Vodka who made this happen. Please support NYC Pride and God's Love We Deliver because they're near and dear to my heart and they're doing such amazing things. And I just want to say thank you, Kellen, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I know we couldn't all be together in one room, but I actually really love that the reach is even bigger. Virtually, we're out there and we've reached probably more people than we ever could. And happy Pride to everybody. Love is love.
Yes, indeed. You are absolutely amazing. The dishes look wonderful. The martini looks amazing. And I can't wait to try them here in my house as well. Thank you all so much for being here. This has been a wonderful time. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.